In NPSP, configuring how the individuals and organizations are configured and how they display are very important. For example, if we just choose an individual who is tied to a company, it looks just like on the sales application side. You'll have their name, and then there'll be an account tied to a company that they work for. But if they're a volunteer or a donor, then they create a household account. So let's look at Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is not related to a company because he's a donor that's going to donate money. So you would leave the account name blank, and it's automatically going to name it whatever you have configured for your household naming convention. We're going to look at the settings on how to customize this and what you need to talk through with your nonprofit to figure out what's your naming convention going to be. Normally on the NPSP application, you'll see this NPSP setting. If you don't see it, you might have a More button with a drop down, or you may need to click your app launcher over here and you can just search for the NPSP and see the NPSP settings here as well. So we're going to go ahead and open the settings. Then we're going to click on People, and we're going to click on Households. And then here we're going to click Edit. Notice now it's asking about, do you want it to automatically have a household naming convention? We have it checked, so it's going to. And what's the naming format going to be? So right now, it's going to be last name, then the word household. So again, when we were back on Mickey Mouse, remember it called it the Mouse Household. If you don't want that, you can click the drop down. You can have it first name, last name, household, last name, first name, household, last name, family. So it would be the Mouse family, or Mickey Mouse family, or Mouse Mickey family. Or you could put in the salutation along with it. You could do the account, or you could add some account billing, city, or you can do an other. So again, you need to just talk through, what do you want this to look like at the nonprofit that you're working. It's going to look a little funny if we have two Mouse households. You might want to, again, add a first name, or if they don't like the word household, again, change it to family. A formal greeting is if you're sending a letter and you pull in the salutation or the heading for a formal greeting, this is what it's going to do. It'll do Mr. or Mrs., Mr. Mickey Mouse, or Dr. Mickey Mouse, whatever the formal greeting is. And again, you've got a couple options if you click the drop-down arrow. And if you say that you want it as an informal greeting, do you want them to just say the first name and last name, or would you like to create a different informal greeting? And what do you want between the names? So if you had chose, Mickey Mouse is married, and we also have his wife listed. Do you want the word and? So down here in this example, Sam and Sally. Do you want the ampersand? How do you want the names to be connected? And if a name overruns, what do you want to change it to? So if you've got a really long list of people that live in that household, we're going to change it to friends. After 9, it's going to start listing everybody else as a friend. We'll skip the implementing class. That's a little bit more of an advanced topic. Then under the household object, so the rule right here for the household object rules says if there's no contact, that's when we're going to make it a household. Or if it's just an individual, where you can say all new or edited. And then do you want to exclude record types? So if you have a one-to-one or an individual account, do you want anything excluded? And then down here at the bottom, you have a household mailing list report. So it's going to look for multiple contacts with the same names, same address. That way, if you're sending out an annual letter inviting them to a big event, and there's 5 people in the house and all 5 have donated, so they're all listed as a contact, you would send 1 letter instead of 5 individual letters. So you make any of your changes, and then you would go ahead and click Save. One more thing we'll talk about is if you have already imported a whole bunch of your contacts and you need to update this because you've just made a change, we're going to scroll back up here. Notice we have this bulk data process. And we have a refresh household data. You can click this to refresh all household names. It's going to give you a warning to make sure you want to do this. And then it's going to go out and it's going to refresh and update them to match all of the changes that you just made. We also have some more customization that we can do, like if we click on addresses, depending on the version, NPSP 3 and later, you can make certain things. You can disable address management. You can enable for a non-household account a simple address change. Is treated as an update so that if you have any flows that are set to run on anything that's updated, if you wanted it to run, you can click those. If you have any kind of address verification software that you've purchased and you want to integrate that in, so it will go out and verify the addresses to make sure that their address is still up to date, you can set all of that up here under the API account settings. If we click on leads, you can create an opportunity when you convert a lead. If you want it to always, by default, be checked when you click convert, because by default, if this isn't checked, it won't create an opportunity. So if you're always creating opportunities, go ahead and that would save your users an extra click. And then under relationships, we have a few different settings talking about your affiliation. Again, relationships. Do you want to determine, track gender and do reciprocal relationships? Allow auto-created duplicate relationships. So again, we've got these reciprocal relationship settings where it talks about, okay, if it's their aunt and they're a male, it's going to list it as their nephew. If it's a female, it'll be their niece. So there's just different settings that you can come in and edit, create new ones, delete the existing ones. And again, we have the auto creation so that it can automatically trigger that it would create a new relationship. So these are things you're going to want to talk through and decide if your nonprofit wants to use these settings.